Hi guys, I hope you are doing well and I hope you have learned the last session topics. And as I mentioned before, at this session we're gonna talk about animations. So that in this session you will be mastered in creating animations. There are two ways to create viewpoint animations in Navisworks. Firstly, you can either simply record your real-time walkthrough. So right now, first of all, I click on record. After that, I enable walk, then I make sure that gravity is enabled or activated too. After that, I move on by this way. I rotate the camera up, and right now everything is being recorded. And right now, even if you stop walking, it would be recorded too. So again, I keep on going. Then I stop here, for example. It is still being recorded. In my opinion, this is not a very good way for creating animations in Navis, since the recorder may record some extra parts or the errors that you make in the navigation process. For example, I may encounter the wall. So as you know, these are just wasting your time and they are not an informative content for the animation. In the continuation, I'm gonna create the same animation but by another way. After that, you can check the differences between these two ways of creating animations in Navis, and then you will see that the first way is not the proper way. For example, if I want to go upstairs, let me move to right. You know, being stuck in such a position just takes some time to get rid of it while the recorder is recording the animation, and so on. And whenever you wanted to stop the animation, you can click on stop to stop the animation playback or recording. And then if I want to watch the animation, here I click on play. Let's see. As you remember, at this time I was enabling the gravity and then moving downwards. After that I walk through, so all of them are recorded. As you can see in the path, I have stopped walking in some places. As I told you before, the content which is created by the first way is not that much informative. But what about the second way? In the second way, we can assemble specific viewpoints for Autodesk Navisworks to interpolate into a viewpoint animation later. So first of all, I should save some viewpoints or some frames. So this time I'm gonna go through the same route but using save view for creating the animation. I enable walk, then I turn on the gravity, then I adjust the rotation of the camera in this way. So this is my first viewpoint. So I open viewpoint tab, then I click on save viewpoint. Then in the window of saved viewpoint, as you can see, the saved viewpoint is considered as a subcategory of the created animation. Check this out. So to stop this process, I close the animation too. After that again, I save the viewpoint by this way. But what was the technique? Firstly, I closed the animation. Then I did click on the Save Viewpoints window to save the viewpoint separate from the animation. Then I name it 1, for example. Then I keep on going by this way. Let me locate the camera in my desired position. For example here, then I save the viewpoint as my second frame. Then I go forward. Again I save as the third frame. And right now, since we do not recording the scene, our action and navigation in the scene is not important since they are not being recorded. So let me adjust the camera. Then I click on save viewpoint, name it 4 by this way. Then I stop at the entrance to save the viewpoint. Well done. I go forward, save viewpoint again, 6th frame. Then after that, here I look at right and left sides. Since after that I'm gonna go upstairs, so I'm adjusting a convenient angle or position for the camera. For assembling the viewpoints, I save as the 7th frame. Well done. Then at the stairs I rotate left, I move right, save as my frame number 8. Then I go upstairs by this way. Well done. Then I save the viewpoint when I arrive upstairs. Number 9. I can add one more frame. For example, right here, I save the viewpoint 10 and the another viewpoint in the A cell as my final frame. 11. Well done. So I save the viewpoints by which I want to create my animation. And after assembling the specific viewpoints, then I click on the window of saved viewpoints, then I right click, then I click on add animation. So right click and then add animation. Then a new viewpoint animation is created. After that, I can drag the viewpoints onto the empty viewpoint animation I just created. I select all of the viewpoints by holding shift. After that, I drag them from their white icon and then drop them into the animation. And right now the viewpoints has become frames in the animation. The animation is created by the sequence of the frames or the viewpoints which we added to the animation. At this point, we can use playback position slider on the playback panel of the animation tab to move backward and forward through the viewpoint animation to see how it looks. But you may wonder why the speed is so high. No matter, we can adjust it, or even the frames or the sequences in which you encounter walls, for example, we can change them. Right now I check the frames by this way. Then in continue, for example, I want to update this view from 7 to 8. Let's check them again. As you can see, I'm passing through the walls or the beams. I want to fix this, so I pause the video. Then I open number 7 viewpoint. Then I move forward by this way. I want to add a frame here in order to not passing through the objects. So at first I specify the position, then I save the viewpoint by this way. Let me check others. Let me rename the viewpoint, for example 7-1. Then I replace it to locate it between 7 to 8 by this way, as you can see. So let's play the video again by just clicking on play. Let's check it out. Well done. As you can see, it is fixed. However, we got a problem actually right here, since the camera is passing through the column. So let's revise it. So first of all, I should adjust the position of the camera. To add a frame here, I move left, then I save the viewpoint, I name it 10-1, and then I replace it between 10 to 11. However, I hesitate between 9 to 10 or 10 to 11. Let's check it out. I played a video from the viewpoint 7. Check it out. Well done. It is fixed. So you can add some frames or viewpoints, or even you can delete some. For example, I can delete the frame of number 7 and then replace a new one. So by this way, we can create an animation by assembling some specific viewpoints, so the viewpoints will become frames of the animation. But about the speed of the animation, I want to lower the speed of the animation. So to do this, I right click on animation, then I click on edit. After that, here we can control the duration, the time duration. For example, here the time is 15 seconds. I modify the value, for example 60 seconds, to show you the animation being slowered. the speed actually being slowered. Check this out. So by the value of time duration, you can accelerate or decelerate the speed of animation by right click on animation and then click on edit. After that, in time duration of the animation by this way. But about the other techniques and points of the animation, suppose that I want to add some pauses inside the animation. For instance, I can add some pauses in the frame of 5 for about 2 seconds. So to add the 2 seconds pause, I right click on the saved viewpoint, then I click on add cut. By this way, I click on add cut. As you can see, the cut is added. However, you are able to modify its position by just clicking and dragging. But for now, I just want to show you the result after adding the cut. Check it out. In viewpoint 3, you can follow the frames from the saved viewpoints. 4. After that, we got the viewpoint 5. Wait for a second. Check it out. After 5, we will have a pause because of the cut. And here there are some points that you should know. The value of pause or pause duration or delay is editable. But how? I right click on cut by this way. Then I click on edit. Then here we can modify the value of delay. As you can see, it is 1 second. I modified, for example, 3 to show you the delay or pause, which takes 3 seconds. Let's check it out. I can play the video or the animation from the middle of the animation. I just select the viewpoint of 4, then I play it. Anyway, let's check it out. Now we are in viewpoint number 5, then 3 seconds delay. Then we'll go for the number 6. But here there's a problem. Could you explain it? I mean, the cut has brought a problem here. I play the video again. So let's see. 4, 5. Then you will see that it jumps onto the frame number 6. I mean, the cut that we have added here causes removing the smoothness of the animation, so that the animation jumps from the frame number 5 to 6. But how do we can fix this? How do we can transform between number 5 to 6 smoothly? I got a technique for you, so listen. First of all, I open frame number 5, I right click, then I make a copy. Then the name will be 5.1. Check this out. After that, I move it and then I place it after the cut. What has happened? Right now we got similar frames before and after cut, so that after finishing the cut or after the delay is finished, we are still at the frame number 5, so that the transformation from 5 to 6 would occur smoothly. Let's check it out again. Right now in 4, by this way. Then we will have delay in 5. Then it starts from frame number 5 again. Check it out. After that, we'll go for frame number 6. So by this way, you can remove the jump or the instance transformation from the frame of number 5 to 6. But another issue here is that when I select the animation and then I right click, then I click on edit, this would controls the time duration of the entire animation, which affects on the transformation between the frames. But you may want to add an acceleration at the beginning of the video, or for example decelerate the speed while navigating in the building. We can consider or we can control the acceleration in the entire video. So to do this, I right click on one of the frames, for example frame number 1 in this way, edit viewpoint, and then here we can control the speed or acceleration. But note that here, as you can see, linear speed and angular speed are separately adjusted. For example, in frame number 1, as you can see, we got rotation. As you can see, our movement is mostly rotation, not moving forward. Then here we got rotation, as you can see. So both of items are important. So I right click on the first viewpoint. I click on edit. As you can see, angular speed and linear speed. Angular speed refers to the rotation and linear speed refers to moving forward. For example, I specify 20 for linear speed, I maximize the value. But about the angular speed, for example 25 by this way, to accelerate the speed of frame number 1. And the frame number 2 as well, I edit it. Then I specify the parameters of linear speed and angular speed. But this time I maximize their values. Comparing to viewpoint number 1 to show its influence on the speed of the animation. Then for viewpoint number 3, I specify 30, since I want to accelerate the speed in frames number 2 and 3. I do not edit number 4, let's check it out again. Right now I play the video, then you will see that the speed is accelerated in the frames of number 2 and 1. Then the speed is decelerated from number 4 on. So you can select each of the frames individually to control their motions, angular and linear. For example, we can control the speed of acceleration and deceleration, the transformation between 5 to 6. I specify 30 for both linear and angular speed. Let's play the video again. By this way, I mean the speed just after the cut would have an acceleration. Check it out. Did you see? By this way. So we can simply set or adjust their motions for each of the single frames, or you can right click on the animation to edit the time duration, which controls the entire duration of the animation. I mean equally. And previously, as you remember, that we had made some sections and saved some viewpoints by this way. If you take your time to create a section view from the details of your project by sectioning, you will be able to save the viewpoints and then consider them as the frames of your animation. So here, right click, add animation. After that, I select these 3 viewpoints from the sectioning. Then I drag them and drop them into the animation. However, you can add more items, I mean more viewpoints. Check it out. But the weak point here is that if you right click on animation, I'm talking about the animation in which you got sectioning. That here, as you can see, we got sectioning. So I click on edit. Here if I import 100 for example, and then play, as you can see, it has no effect on the speed of the animation. So note that we can have a section view from all of the levels by using sectioning, and then saving the viewpoints for each of the level, and then considering the viewpoints as the frames of the animation. And don't forget that the duration in the animations which contains cross-sectioning is not editable. And after finishing the animation, how do we can export it? So firstly, in animation tab, here we can have access to the list of your created animations. As you can see, we got 4 animations. For example, I choose the first one to export it. Right now I want to export this. So if you want to export it, you should click on export animation, which exports an animation from your project to an AVI file or a sequence of images file. First of all, we should specify the source, which is the current animation, since we have previously specified it. Here in renderers, we can select the animation renderer. We use Autodesk to export our animation with the currently selected render style that, as we talked about it previously, that in viewpoint, we can adjust the render style in mode, for example from rendered, wireframe, shaded, or even lighting. But if you select viewport, it quickly renders your animation, and this option is also ideal for previewing animations. So that here we can adjust the ray trace in interactive ray trace. However, it is not common to carry out rendering in Navisworks, since there are some softwares which are better than Navisworks in rendering. But I just wanted you to know that Navisworks is capable to rendering. And in Navisworks, we can put lights, assign materials, and then render. But I don't want to get engaged rendering in Navisworks course, since it's just wasting time, and we can use other professional softwares that are powerful in rendering, so that we can use them. But Navisworks is capable in rendering too, as you can see, and right now the materials are not associated. Anyway, about exporting the animation, here we can choose one of the 2 choices in renderer, Autodesk or viewport. In Autodesk, we export an animation with the currently selected render style, or we can either choose viewport, which is ideal for previewing animations and is commonly used. However, you can use Autodesk too. Then we should specify the output format. For example, JPEG exports a sequence of static images, but in Windows AVI it exports animation as a commonly readable AVI file. And in Continue, we can open the video compression to specify the compressor that it is not that much necessary. So I choose Video AVI, and in size we specify how to set the size of the exported animation. Explicit gives full control of the width and height, so that you can control the dimensions here, which are in pixel. That is not my recommendation. Or even you can modify the frame. As you can see, the frame is a square, since width and height are equal to each other, while the viewport here is not shown in a square. So this is not the ideal choice. The next option is use aspect ratio, which enables us to specify the height, and the width is automatically calculated from the aspect ratio of your current view. So since the value of width is adjusted in proportion to height, it gives us a convenient size. For example, I specify 800. After that, the value of height, as you can see, is automatically adjusted. So this would be an ideal choice, since the values of width and height are specified based on some principle, so it gives us an convenient size. And the third option is use view, which uses the width and height of your current view. And this is based on the defined resolution of my monitor, which is 1378 and 812. So the size depends on you, and you can specify whatever you want. For example, you can choose use aspect ratio, then modify the values, for example 3000, or either you can choose use view to set the width and height of your current view in the same quality and in the same size that we got in the project, and so on. The next one in options is FPS, which specifies the number of frames per second, and this setting is relevant for AVI files. And note that the higher the FPS, the smoother the animation will be. Actually, the value of FPS in the TV is usually between 25 to 230, but as you know, using a high value of FPS will considerably increase the rendering time. But usually in the architectural animations that are not going to be displayed as a movie, or they are not going to be displayed in a realistic way, it is acceptable to use the value between 10 to 15 FPS. So my recommendation is do not specify lower than 15. And the another option is anti-aliasing. This option applies to viewport renderer only. Anti-aliasing is used to smooth the edges of the exported images. For example, it smooths the edges of the wall, as you can see. As you know, the higher the number, the smoother the image, but the longer they take to export. 4x is adequate for most situations. After that, you will see it smooths the edges. For example, the wall, as I'm pinpointing, based on the value we have specified. Then we will have a smooth images, but the exporting time takes long. And right now, if I click on OK, I should specify the file path by this way. Then the Windows AVI file would be saved. And right now, as you can see, the rendering process is getting done. As I told you before, the speed of the rendering is dependent to the value of FPS, to the value of FPS and anti-aliasing. So the lower value of FPS and anti-aliasing, the shorter time they take to export or finishing the rendering time. But for now, I just want to pause the video, and after that we'll continue the video when the rendering process was done. But I want you to create some animations from your existing projects by saving viewpoints and then creating the animations. And after finishing these items, we're gonna start the last session of the season 1. Well done, it is finished. Let's check out the animation. I open it with VLC by this way. Check this out. This is the exported AVI file that we can watch it like a film or animation. However, there are some problems here which are related to the modeling, that some objects are overlapping each other that they need to be fixed, and after that the flickerings will be removed from the animation so that we will have a better quality. And right now I want you to create some animations as a sample just for practicing so that we can start the last session.